Welcome back to the third episode of the Real College Reviews podcast. I'm your host, Jude Bazerman, and today I'm joined by my good friend Aaron, who goes to Montclair State. You want to give a further introduction of yourself?
Hey guys, my name's Aaron Smookler. I'm a student at Montclair State. I'm a rising junior, and I'm a commuter.
Thank you very much, Aaron. I guess just right off the bat, I'll ask you about commuting. I guess we'll go into parking right off the bat. At Montclair State, is it hard to find a parking spot? Like, what time do most students kind of get in?
Yeah, parking is definitely not easy at Montclair State. Depends what time your classes are. If you have an earlier class or a later class, it's really not too bad. But if you have class midday, it can be very difficult finding parking.
And so I guess when do your classes typically start as a commuter? And what time do you like them to start ideally?
Typically, my classes start at 9:45, and then I do 2 classes back to back. And I only go into school 2 days a week because I do multiple online classes.
Okay. Would you suggest online classes for commuter students?
Yes, it allows to free up more time so I can work. Yeah, taking less in-person classes is more ideal for my situation because I work a lot and taking online classes frees up a lot more time.
So definitely frees up a lot of more time. How long do you think it takes on a normal day to get from your house in Caldwell, which usually without traffic is about 15 minutes from campus?
Right.
How long does it take you, finding a parking spot with commuter traffic? How long does it take you to get from home?
From the time I walk out my door, from the time I walk into my classroom, it's about 30 minutes.
Okay, so really just double the time right off the bat.
Right.
No matter what time you go in, right?
Right.
That's the same thing if you look back to the Seton Hall episode with my friend Steve, it's really the same thing. He leaves an hour before when campus is only 30 minutes away from his house. So it seems to be a common theme around commuter schools in New Jersey that the normal time to drive from your house to campus, really double that if you're going to commute.
Yeah, and Montclair State's also a big campus, so from the parking garage all the way to our classroom, it's easily a 10-minute walk.
Really?
Yeah, it's not even parking.
Do they have any sort of shuttles that take you from the parking lots to the main campus?
We do have further lots where there are shuttles available, but I park in the parking garage, which is pretty close to my class, so I don't use the shuttle services.
Gotcha. I mean, do you like commuting? I guess I'll ask you that too. Would you... If you had the option, if I gave you the option to go back to your freshman year and you could either commute again or dorm at Montclair State, which one would you choose and why?
I would definitely commute because a lot of students at my school do not commute. I mean, yeah, they don't dorm. Most students, commute. And there's not too much college life on Montclair State.
Really? So by not too much college life, what do you mean by that? Can you elaborate?
There's not too many things going on. There's just, there's sports and stuff, but it's not really any parties. There's not too many get-togethers. It's just most kids go to class, they hang out a little bit, and they go home.
Interesting. So you really think that it's a commuter school?
Definitely, 100%.
Gotcha. And, just talking about things to do, there's not many parties. Is there any Greek life? Do you know about that at all?
I know there is Greek life, but I know it's not very popular at my school. There's not huge student participation.
Gotcha. So it wouldn't be like Syracuse where there's parties every weekend and all that?
Nope, that's why I want to visit Jude at Syracuse soon.
Well, grass isn't always greener on the other side. I'll say that. Not too much to do on campus. There's really no events that the school puts on, at all.
There are, but there's not a lot of student participation.
Gotcha. So not really a school-spirited campus.
Yes.
Keep asking this. I'll keep beating this dead horse, but no sports games, none of that type of stuff.
There are sports going on, but it's not just not a huge student life for it.
Student life as a whole. What's a typical Montclair State student look like? And do you think you fit that mold of the typical Montclair State student?
I think a lot of Montclair State students are commuters. They go to class and they go home. There's not too many things going on campus. Usually, a lot of people go to school and then go home. So it's definitely a commuter school.
Okay. But talk about the characteristics of a student. Walking around campus, what is the normal person, or not the normal, but most people, what are their characteristics? Are they nice? Are they studious? Do they kind of just slack off in class? What's the vibe you get?
Everybody's very nice. Everybody will go out of their way to help you, but there are some people who, I don't particularly like, but
yeah,
for the most part, everybody's very nice. Everybody's,
are they happy to be at Montclair State, or would they rather be somewhere else?
Everybody says they like it, but they also say the same exact thing I'm saying. There's not much going on. It's definitely a big commuter school.
Going really further into classes, you said what major are you again?
Business administration.
So fancy. It can't just be business. Got to add the administration on, right?
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you. But so far in your first 2 years, how have the classes been? Have they been hard, easy? And how the professors, are they nice? Do they help out, or are they, not so great?
I feel like it's a hit or miss sometimes. Sometimes I'll get like a really hard professor and like, the whole class won't do great overall, and then I'll get a really good professor and everybody will get a really high grade in the class. It just all depends on the professor. But overall, the coursework hasn't been too hard, but it's definitely not too easy.
And going back to the professors, I know a lot of students, including myself, use a website called Rate My Professors. Would you suggest that? And if you have used it, does it really coincide with what you felt your experience has been?
I definitely use it.
Okay.
I didn't use it my first semester, and my
how
GPA was lower than the second half of my first 2 years. My GPA definitely increased after using Rate My Professor.
So you'd suggest that to any student, no matter what college they end up going
100%.
to? Gotcha. Going back to the student lives, I know you're a commuter, but have you been in any dorm rooms? And if you haven't, what have you heard about the dorm rooms? Like, are they nice? Are they nasty and outdated?
I've heard a lot about the dorms, and some of them are new, and some of them are really old. So it depends. If you get a newer dorm, they're gorgeous. If you get an older dorm, they're really not that nice whatsoever.
So it's really a hit or miss.
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure the upperclassmen get
The nicer dorms?
the nicer dorms, yeah.
That makes sense.
And also the students who come from a wealthier family.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's almost like a pay-to-win system.
It kinda, yes.
I never knew that. I've actually never heard of a college doing that.
I'm almost positive. I'm pretty sure there's different dorms that cost more money.
Wow. I mean, I know at Syracuse and every other student that I've talked to, any of my friends, really just kind of a crapshoot with the dorms, or if there's a selection time you select. I never heard of like a certain dorm being, I don't know, $5,000, another being $2,500, and the one that's $5,000 is a lot better.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really useful. That's kind of, I would say, a little bit unethical almost.
Yeah. And I don't know the exact price difference,
Yeah.
but I know there are different. There's a lot of different, pricing for the dorms.
Yeah, I never knew that about Montclair State. The campus, Montclair State's campus. You said it's a big school. How long does it take to walk from the furthest end of campus to the other furthest end of campus?
I would say 20 minutes.
Oh, so that's not even that bad then.
Yeah, but all my classes are in one central area, so I'm not really going to the further end of campus.
So how long does it take you to walk from Class A to Class B on a normal day?
The buildings are directly next to each other.
So 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Gotcha. I know a lot of colleges do that. They put, say all the education major buildings or all the business major buildings, they're either in one building or they're, right next to each other and make students.
Yeah, all my gen ed
lives.
classes and business classes are next to each other.
Oh, even the gen ed ones?
Yeah.
A lot of the gen ed, at least a lot of the other schools, gen ed's all over the place, because they don't care about the freshmen. They just send them out into the world.
Yeah, there's one particular building we have for gen eds, and I'm lucky to have it right next to my business building.
Okay, so you just got really, really lucky.
Yeah.
And I guess going off of the business buildings, how do you like it? Is it new? Is it old?
So a lot of buildings on Montclair State are very new. They're
Okay.
built within the last 10 years.
Oh, wow.
But there are some buildings that are really old and need to be redone. But the business building is pretty new. There's another building called University Hall that's new.
Mm-hmm.
They just built the science building 7 years ago.
Okay.
So a lot of buildings are new, but there are definitely some that need to be redone.
Yeah, and I could definitely say that's a theme at a lot of other colleges. I mean, these are huge billion-dollar organizations at the end of the day. You can only fix so many things at a time.
Right.
However, a theme that I've noticed touring colleges myself and then talking to, if you look back at the Seton Hall episode, I know I've said that a lot, but a lot of these New Jersey schools have a lot in common. Their business school was also built brand new or redone 4 or 5 years ago. So it seems like a lot of colleges are investing a lot of capital into their business programs.
Right.
So I know it's the most popular major besides being undecided. I think for anyone listening, if you want to be a business major, now's the right time to do it. So many colleges like Montclair State, like Seton Hall, like Delaware, they're putting so much money and effort into their business programs. Do you see that? Can you agree with me regarding Montclair State?
Yes.
And going off of, campus stuff in general, from a purely aesthetic, looking nice way, do you like Montclair State's campus?
Montclair State's campus is very pretty. We have a very good view of New York City, which I walk by every day. A lot of the buildings are new for the most part, and it's just a very pretty campus. There's just not much going on. Student life is not very satisfactory.
So, from an aesthetic point of view, the campus is great. If you just had better students, not better students, but more spirited students, maybe if more students stayed on campus, it'd be a significantly...
I feel like if more students dormed, there would be more student life. More people would be encouraged to do programs, Greek life, and everything. Right now, it's very, very small. I think it's either 80 or 90% of students commute.
Oh, it's that high.
Yeah. You only 3,000 or 4,000 students to a dorm out of 20,000.
That's a small number.
And there's not even enough dorms to accommodate 20,000 kids. I think the peak number is 5,000.
So it's really like the school, I don't want to say doesn't want, people at a dorm, but they really don't even have the space for people
They
at a
don't
dorm.
have the capacity, correct?
And I guess going off of that, not a lot of dorm capacity, and also a lot of commuters. So I'm going to assume that most people who go to Montclair State are from New Jersey, especially North Jersey. Is that what you've seen?
Yeah, a majority of the students are in state.
Have you met anyone from out of state or anywhere, crazy far?
Very few, but I've heard a lot of kids come from out of state, but I've never met any personally.
Really? So you've just only met New Jersey kids?
Yeah.
So Montclair State is obviously the college you ended up going to. What were some other colleges you were considering during your senior year of high school, and what led to you choosing Montclair State?
When I did my college search, I didn't really look at a lot of colleges. I looked at Montclair State, William Patterson, and Morris County. And Morris County was honestly a backup. And then I applied to William Patterson and Montclair State, and I got into Montclair State, which was my top school, because I knew I wanted to commute. I didn't want dorm. So I only chose those 3 schools.
Do you wish that you would have applied to more schools or looked at other places, or are you happy with your decision and your application process a couple years ago?
I'm happy with Montclair State because it's close, and a lot of my friends stay home. They all commute. But I kind of wish I applied to a school with a lower acceptance rate to see if I was capable of getting in, just to see what would happen.
So really just kind of to challenge yourself.
Right, exactly.
I like that mentality a lot. I think that's a good way to look at it. You never really know what's going to happen. I know I got unlucky a little bit with all my reach schools I unfortunately didn't get into, but I'm happy where I am, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, all the schools I applied to were between 80% and 100% acceptance rate. So it was pretty guaranteed.
Was County College of Morris the one with 100% acceptance
yeah, and
rate?
Montclair at the time was 76%.
Yeah, but
and
also
I think now it's low 80s.
Yeah, I'll say this too, and I think you should be able to agree with me too, because I know you've had a good, for the most part, academic experience at Montclair State.
Right.
Acceptance rate doesn't really always mean the school is going to be so good, because I know schools that have maybe an acceptance rate in the 40s or 50s, but their graduation rate is in the 30s or 40s. That clearly means that something's not clicking in the academic world of the school.
Right.
So I would just keep that in mind too for anyone listening. Acceptance rate is kind of just one of those numbers that looks good. It doesn't really mean too much all the time. I mean, obviously, if you're going to Harvard and it's a 5% acceptance rate, that there's only very, very smart kids. You and I, Aaron, are probably not going to get into Harvard no matter how many times.
No, you have a way better shot at me than that, Jude.
And my shot's still close to 0. But going kind of back to the campus life, as a commuter, do you usually bring your own lunch to campus, or do you buy food at Montclair State?
I'm normally on campus for about 3 to 4 hours, so I usually don't buy lunch. I usually just go to class, and I'll be home by lunchtime.
Do you ever find yourself buying lunch or really buying anything on campus?
If I meet with friends, I'll occasionally get lunch at the dining hall, but it's very minimal.
And the dining hall, it's a sore subject for a lot of people, especially those who live on campus. But for you as a commuter who doesn't necessarily eat in the dining hall all day, what's your opinion on it? How's the food there?
It's average, just nothing great. It's not bad, but it's not great. I don't think I would be able to eat it, for 3-4 months straight every day.
That's the best thing I've heard about a dining hall so far on this show, including my own opinion, including my friends' opinions back at school, including what I've heard that hasn't been on the show. It's crazy to think that average is the best thing that I've heard about a college's dining hall.
Right.
From the 20 or 25 people that I talk to that go to different colleges across the country. Which is kind of a shame, because you're paying so much money to go to college, and you're paying even so much to get a meal. How much is it just to get into the dining hall at Montclair State?
About $12.
Yeah, $12 for an average meal at a place you really, should be paying a lot less than that, because you're already paying so much to get an education. It's unfortunate, and it's crazy.
Right.
If you can, give me one sentence to describe Montclair State.
Montclair State is a great commuter school for students who live in New Jersey, and they're looking for a school that doesn't exceed their budget. It's a very cost-effective school for students who live in state.
So you wouldn't really suggest it for anyone who's A, gonna dorm there, or B, who's coming from out of state?
Correct.
You say that for the same reasons that you've said earlier on in the show, lack of student life, and I mean, that's really the biggest one,
yeah,
right?
There's no reason to come out of state to go to Montclair State. It's definitely an in-state school for sure.
Interesting. And that's a lot of what I've heard too. Are you happy there?
I'm happy, yeah. But I feel like if I lived out of state and I came all the way to Montclair State, I wouldn't be as happy as I would be.
I know you've said before there's really no student life on campus. I don't mean to keep beating that horse into the ground, but off campus, Montclair State's in Little Falls, right? That's the town it's in?
Montclair State actually stretches into 3 towns.
Really?
Yeah. Clifton, Little Falls, and I don't remember the last one, but I know Montclair State is a very long school, and it stretches into 3 towns.
Okay, so between those 3 towns, Little Falls, Clifton, and the one that you and I both don't know, is there anything to do off campus, like bars, restaurants, events?
So Montclair State is obviously very close to Montclair, so a lot of kids who are over 21 go there and go to the bars and stuff. And then there is actually a train station on Montclair State where a lot of kids go into the city.
Oh, really?
But since we live close to the city, then we don't really have a purpose to go there.
I was going to say, if it's a commuter school and everyone commutes, or at least 80 or 90%
Yeah.
of people commute, you can just take yourself in on your day off.
Exactly.
But I guess if you did come from out of state, somewhere that like you don't have access to New York City, you can't make a day trip. That's something that's
that's a
pretty
big
cool.
perk of dorming there.
Yeah, I guess if you have an internship too in New York City, that'd be pretty cool too.
Yeah.
So, have you ever used the train that goes into New York City?
I have never used the transportation system in Montclair State. With the train, the shuttle, the buses.
Does anyone you know use the train in New York City, or is it kind of just like something that they say they have on the tours and it doesn't really serve?
I know a lot of people who use the shuttle services, but I've never met anyone who's ever used the train.
And the shuttle services you mean are just like from the parking lot to main campus? Yes. Okay. So like the bare bones functions.
Yes.
Nothing super fancy.
The bare bones.
Gotcha. And do you do any clubs on campus? Any sports? Any extracurriculars? Or are you more just like go to class,
just go to
come
class,
home,
come home,
get your degree?
Exactly. Get the piece of paper.
Well, Aaron, thank you so much for your time. This has been one of the, I know I've only had 3, but still one of my favorite podcasts. It's always a joy talking to you. Before we end, is there anything else you want to add about Montclair State or just college in general?
No, I just want to say thank you for having me, Jude. This is a great time, great bonding. And, I'm looking forward to hearing the podcast.
Well, it's my pleasure. For anyone listening, check us out on Instagram at Real College Reviews. Episodes will be out on very soon. We're hoping to get a lot more of these done in the future. Again, Aaron, thank you so much. I wish you the best in your next 2 years at Montclair State and forward. I mean, I'll keep talking to you soon anyways, but I wish you the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jude.